Mr. Argent, Mr. Chris White, and Mr. Hugh Grundy. And I'm going to hand the mic over to the former schoolmate from St. Albans, Sir Tim Rice.
Wow, it's what a film. It's almost as long as your career. Where would you like me to go? I'll go anywhere you like. Hi, Ron. Hi, Hugh. Hi, Ron. Chris. We've all got a seat. Now, is this Q&A? I apologise for being unrehearsed. Is this Q&A just me queuing and you aiming, or
Yes.
anybody here? Just me.
Just you.
Well, my first question is, do you feel that St Albans, where I grew up, do you feel St Albans had any big influence musically? Because it's a kind of area, I remember thinking, growing up in St Albans around there, that it's not quite like Liverpool or Nashville. But yet it produced you lot, so it must have got something.
But there were lots of places where we could play. I'm not sure if it's true now, maybe this is true of the whole country, but there were lots of working men's clubs and things where we could play. So it was comparatively easy for us to get started. And I worry about young musicians now, where they would play when they want to get going. So I know what you mean about St Albans. Not quite.
I'm not knocking St Albans, it's a great place.
Well, maybe it could come from anywhere, if I may just say. I mean, St Albans, Manchester, Liverpool, I mean, they all had their innovative people in, and so why not St Albans? Why not?
It was a very different time to actually be a musician at that time. I mean, if you played in a club, everybody would come along. That's where they went to meet, where boys went to meet girls. You know, there was no such thing as a record-based evening. You know, it was always live music, and so we built up a real following in St Albans. In fact, there was one place where, which was the rugby club that Colin played at, where the first time we played there, it was in an interlude with the dance band, and we just worked with, we just played for maybe 10, 12 people, and then within a year we built that audience up to 400, and they had to make a marquee. And you know, and it was that sort of excitement that you could get together at that time.
And was that before you were even called the Zombies in one of your occasions, or had you got the name by then?
Yes, we weren't called the Zombies by that time, no, we never really went out as what Rocky Zambies was it called?
The Thunderbolts, I think you said.
The Sundowns and the Mustangs, wasn't it? To our shame, I'm afraid, but it was, yeah.
Because I remember seeing you, Hugh, I don't know if you remember me, but you weren't at the same school as me, but we used to be on the same bus, the 321 from and others, true, it's double-decker green bus, and we went from Harpenden when I got on. And I think you, which school were you at?
St Albans School.
No, before St Albans.
Before Morton End, that was the primary school in Harpenden.
Yeah, right.
And maybe it was there that we used to do our homework upstairs on top deck of the bus,
top deck of the
bus to our homes in Hatfield.
Where in those days you could smoke on the top of the bus.
Did we? Did we smoke in that?
You were about 9 at the time.
I did later, though, got to be honest.
So Chris, I don't remember meeting you in St Albans, but you were from the same area, weren't you?
No, I went to school at St Albans with Colin.
Right.
Because we were from a different school from Rod and the others. But basically, I lived in a little village called Margate, which was quite near Whipsnade, but I went to school in St Albans.
Right. Because I was a year ahead, I think I was a year ahead of you two guys.
You were a year ahead, yeah.
I was at St Albans School, and then for reasons I never quite established why, my parents I think they wanted to get rid of me because they shifted me out to a boarding school on the south coast. But I always had great affection for St Albans, and I've often been back. And of course, you lot are, you two guys in particular, very, very celebrated old boys. And Colin, I remember meeting you when you were doing that. You had that spell, very brief spell, and insurance as an insurance man, and insurance world's loss was of course the Zombies game. But I don't know how you did that because you were working all day.
I remember this really well because we used to get on the train to go up to London, and I used to try and hide. It was early in the morning. I wasn't used to facing the world early in the morning, but having been in a band, I used to try and hide. And I was on the underground, hanging one of those things, and I saw you coming towards me, and I thought, no, I can't talk at this time in the morning. And you said to me, Colin, I've written a rock musical, I've written a rock opera. I thought, God, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. This man, he's written a rock opera. And then you said, we've based it on the life of Jesus Christ. Well, that's never going to fly.
I do remember that story. You had such a beautiful voice, and I think I can remember discussing it with Andrew, and he did the record company, which was MCA, and they said, well, he's wonderful, but he's left the music business. And I said, well, I suppose he has, because he was on a train going to do a very important job. And it would have been wonderful had you been on that album, but I'm not sure.
I remember what happened. CBS said, you've just signed to CBS, because then Rob and Chris had just encouraged me to sign with CBS. And they said, so your first release has to be on CBS. And Jesus Christ Superstar was on MCA. And I think that's what happened. Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude about your project. That was incredibly successful.
I didn't think it was going to be hit either. And I don't think at the time we met on the train, I don't think we'd even started recording it really. It was very early days.
I remember going around to Andrew's flat, and he was playing.
Bashing out the
piano.
Amazing. Oh God, it takes me back. I'm rather moved by all this. Now this film, which is so well put together, brilliantly done, with all the logos and the every year coming in. I mean, Chris, did you have much to do with the organisation of the
Nothing to do. I was totally shocked we didn't think there was anything left to see, to be quite honest. But when we saw the rough cuts of the finished thing, it was quite a surprise where he got all the information, all the film. We didn't think anyone had anything of ours,
There's an awful lot of stuff there, which, I mean, I'm a bit of a rock and roll history freak, but there's an awful lot of stuff there that I hadn't seen myself.
Neither did we.
But it was you, for sure. Definitely you. I mean, were you pleased with the film? I think you must have been, weren't you?
Incredibly, yeah. I mean, when Robert Schwartzman got together with us, first of all, he phoned up and he said, I'd like to make a film about you. And I said, I don't think you should, because there's nothing left. All the original footage has disappeared. And he said, oh, well, I think there are ways of doing it. And I thought, well, we'll see. But he really has discovered some marvellous footage, actually. I mean, that first footage of us ever playing where we're going crazy. I used to think of myself as being a very cool pianist, and suddenly it was this mad, person from, I don't know, with a...
You haven't changed much, Rod. You haven't changed much.
No. But yeah, I'm sorry. I had a stroke just not that long ago, and it makes me, not quite as erudite as I might otherwise have been. But
You're still erudite, but maybe a little.
Well, we all slow down a little bit. But I was particularly intrigued seeing that film of your life on the bus in those amazing tours of America where, the ones, the famous ones, I mean, pre you, like Buddy Holly tour, which ended in tragedy. And it must have been, in some respects, even if you're playing and working alongside great artists of all, styles of music, what was it like on the bus for hours and hours? I mean, was it hell being with all these people? Was it always wonderful? Was it a difficult life? Did the white guys get separated when there's terrible days in the south of the United States?
Absolutely, because this is the mid-60s, so it did get very tense at times. And we travelled right across the southern states, so there were some hotels we couldn't stay in, and some restaurants we couldn't go in. So that was one thing that had to be faced. And one particular time I walked into a hotel with my arm round a velvet, a beautiful black girl,
right.
And our tour manager came over and said, listen, we've just been talking to some guys over there, if you walk into this hotel like that, you're going to be shot.
Yeah.
And he was serious, there were real difficulties. And then another thing I remember, was it D.D. Sharp?
Yeah, on the bus.
D.D. Sharp.
Potato time.
Yes, she had an argument with the lead singer, I think, was it from The Jerks? Or, no, The Jerk was the dance. The Larks.
The Larks.
The Larks.
You said he had called the Jerk, I think, if I remember.
Oh, that's
Was it the Jerk that he with the Lark? I don't remember. No, it was the Lark that he with the Jerk.
I'm never quite sure, but she pulled a gun on him on the bus.
Funny.
And somehow they got the gun off her. And I just remember that they got her little suitcase. We're in the middle of nowhere. And put the suitcase down and put her next to the suitcase and drove off and left her. So there were some fiery moments.
How did you, obviously you were not paid what you should have got, but when you were paid, presumably you were paid something for a meal every so often. If you mind these huge groups or huge line-up of groups and everything, how did everybody get any money at all? Clearly underpaid, clearly not getting what you should have got, but did anybody just hand out $20 once a week or something? How did that work?
No,
I can't remember actually.
No.
I can't either, no.
I think we just lost a lot of weight. So we didn't eat very much, It was very good for the figure.
I'm getting food poisoning on one of the
She got
tours.
food poisoning, yeah.
And it was, we stopped somewhere, couldn't afford anything else, a little piece of apple pie, and it did for me. And I don't know who played drums that night, but I was in
It
hospital.
wasn't you.
No, it certainly wasn't me. I had to catch it up.
Executives. The executives drummer.
That was it, correct.
And talking about drums, were you able to bring your own kit with you, or did you have to play whatever kit was there?
The kit that was there, basically. I think the one kit went round with us, but I certainly didn't bring the one that I was more used to in England. But I think I did specify Ludwig. After dear old Ringo, he influenced me in that direction, and I played ever since. In fact, I've just got a new kit now, because I play where I live now, and it's great.
Out in Menorca.
Exactly.
Right, wow. And do they remember all the Zombies hits there? I'm sure they do.
Yes. I'll keep a low profile there, I've got to be honest with you.
How long would one of these extraordinary tours across America last? They were legendary, often legendarily ghastly, but it must be totally exciting. Would you be on the bus for 2 months sometimes?
I think they've been about 6 weeks, wouldn't
They
they?
always seem to be around 6 weeks, yeah.
I think we did every single state except Hawaii.
You didn't do Hawaii, it's bad luck.
And the thing was, because especially some of the acts weren't getting paid, they were getting paid less than us.
Yeah.
So it meant that we slept on the bus every second night. It said that in the film,
Yeah.
So you would stay in a hotel, and then you would go and play the show, and then you would pack up very slowly, and they would drive through the night so that you could arrive at the hotel for checking in time the next night. But there was no loo, no bathroom, no nothing on there. So it was quite rough, really.
Was there any, obviously the distance is much smaller, but if you toured in Britain with other acts, because it was your home country, was that better? Could you get home most nights? Would you try and get home most nights? Were you paid?
In Britain?
Yeah.
We were paid very little, weren't we?
Well, absolutely. I know because our tour manager left at one point, and all the contracts came to me only because no one else wanted to do it. So I got the contract. And I know that in the UK, we never got more than £100 a night.
Right.
Well, we paid 20% to our manager, 10% to our agent, that's 70. And we've got a truck, hotels, a driver. So
And 5 guys.
And 5 guys.
And a road manager.
So we would be lucky if we were making 10 quid a night.
Yeah.
So,
And all those legendary stories that, I mean, I was a frustrated, total failure, wanted to be a rock star, things like meeting on the M1 at 3 a.m. with Brown Pool and the Tremolos coming the other way or something like
the
that.
Blue Ball, it was
The Blue Ball, was it?
Yeah.
Was that?
We met quite a few artists in the Blue Ball, and one memory I have was a drummer. Once again, he was a drummer. His name was Lenny Hastings, and so we'd be there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning eating our sausage and chips and developing beautiful spots like you do. And he wore a wig. He had a false eye, and he also had false teeth. And I can see it now. He took the wig off, laid it on the table. He took his eye out, laid that on the table, and he took his teeth out and laid them down there. And when the waitress came over, she just screamed and ran away.
There's more of him on the table than back in the body. Getting away from these sordid stories, which are absolutely gripping, Chris, hold your head up. That was one of your joint compositions, wasn't it?
Yes.
And when you write something together, especially something that's a big hit, who does what? Is it, just both of you doing both bits? I mean, in my business, you tend to be more one of you does the words and one of you does the music. But that's probably not true with you.
No, it is,
because you're both great
Rob can
musicians.
answer quite better. Sometimes it needs music and sometimes the lyrics, so it's switched and changed about quite a lot. But we had the same ideas about the songs. As we said in the film, we played to each other, and then one or the other would suggest something or another piece of music which fitted with it. It wasn't lyricist and music, it was joint songwriting, simple as that.
Yeah, yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
We worked very much together, didn't we?
Very much,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I remember, Chris, didn't you have a solo hit with a group called The People in America? Have I got that right?
Oh, that's right, yes,
I love you.
I love
it, yeah.
Because I thought it was a great achievement, seriously, to have a hit, a big top 10 American hit with a song called I Love You. Because you would imagine people would say, well, it's a nice song, but perhaps not the most unusual title of all time. But it was a big hit. And was that something that the Zombies didn't record or didn't
We
think
did
of?
record it.
And what happened to it? It was
It was
just
a
a track.
B-side for us. It's so frustrating. It was a B-side for us, and then people took that song and recorded it themselves.
And they were called The People, that's the name of the group, wasn't it?
Yes, and they had a huge hit.
Yeah. Because I was in the States quite a lot, sometime later, but I used to listen to all the oldies stations. And Tell Her No got an enormous amount of airplay in America, and it was a big, big hit. I mean, without wishing to sort of stir up sad memories, why wasn't it a mammoth hit in this country? Because it was frankly a great song. I mean,
I don't know. It's always intrigued me how the same song could be a big hit
Yeah.
in one country and not be a hit in another. And it's especially fascinating when it's something like Holland and Belgium. They're so close and they have completely different charts.
Yeah.
It's certainly true with the UK and America. You can have a big hit. In fact, we had a lot more hits in America
yes.
than we had hits here, which is bizarre because obviously
Oh, did we have it, sir?
hardly, but we did have one or two, yes.
The strange thing is, with say Time of the Season, it's actually been released 5 times in the UK, and it's never been a hit. And yet, DJs play it as a golden oldie all the time. And young people always come up to us and say, oh God, I love that song, and they know it. When we played Glastonbury, we went into a small, well, it wasn't a small tent, it was, well, I can't remember the name of the stage that we actually played on, but it held about 5,000 or 6,000 people, So it wasn't one of the massive stages. When we started playing, there were just a few people in there, but then it gradually filled up. And by the time we got to Time of the Season, when we played Time of the Season, the crowd went crazy. I thought, how do they know this? You know, because but everyone, everywhere seems to know that song.
Maybe it's time to give it another go.
Well, there are a lot of great songs that people assume were mega hits here, like Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah.
That was not a hit here, technically, but it's it's like Time of the Season. It's incredibly well known. People would say, oh, that was a number 1 or a top 5, and it wasn't.
No.
But it's strange. I mean, it's in a way, it's almost a great compliment to the song if it stays in there and lives on for 50, 60 years without having had an initial lunatic spurt. And, you know, maybe 7 weeks of glory in the top 10 and then nothing for, whereas Time of the Season, I must admit, when I first heard that, I thought this is sensational. And I think, and I can't remember if I could have afforded to report it at the time, but it is one of those tracks that every time it comes on the radio now, and it still comes on a lot, you have to turn it up. And also, the other thing I love is on some of these oldies TV things is your hullabaloo appearances as the zombies. They show quite a lot of those. I mean, I don't know if well, there are extracts from them in the film. Hullabaloo is a massively popular sort of top of the pops type show with a lot of British acts on it. And your version of She's Not There and Tell Her No were both big hullabaloo things. And yet, hullabaloo was never ever shown here at the time. Now they quite often see it.
I think it was the first colour TV program we did, and I think we did the first Hullabaloo, didn't we?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was there, I think.
And they wanted us to dance. That didn't work out, did it?
So I suppose the big question I'd like to ask is, are there any future zombies dates or combinations of zombies coming up?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. I think Rod has very wisely made the decision not to tour anymore.
Right.
And so, no, I think that's it, actually, although, I mean, Rod should speak for himself, but I think the intention is to write and to record.
To continue writing. I mean, I've got a song at the moment that I can't wait for Colin to you know, come around and get to know and sing. And it's finished. And I'm very happy with it. So that's going to be very exciting, you know, to actually do that. You know, but actually playing I think for me that has to finish really. And anyway, I just love being back at home after all these years and spending some time with my wife, Kathy. You know, it's really great.
I think it's more the stresses and strains of actually being on the road. And you're obviously going to keep on playing as I do at home.
Oh yeah.
I don't really want to go slogging around the States in the bus anymore.
And once you start writing, you can't stop writing. The ideas come forward all the time, so it has to be done. Otherwise, you don't exist anymore.
Right. Sorry. he's definitely there.
Chris?
I mentioned earlier the very successful cover of I Love You, and because She's Not There has had some wonderful covers, not least by Neil MacArthur. Whatever happened to Neil MacArthur? but perhaps the most famous version of it, After You, was Santana. And that must have been very exciting.
That was wonderful, actually, because I always felt that there was a Latin feeling hidden inside She's Not There. And for Carlos to actually, it was Bill Graham that suggested it to Carlos. Actually, Bill Graham, who used to run, what was it called?
Fillmore. Yeah. Fillmore Eastman.
Fillmore East, yeah, Fillmore East. And then he came back and said, yes, I think that would be great to do. And I absolutely loved his version. But do you know that's been a hit in England? I think it's 5 times. I can't remember the other people's names now. There was a
UK subs.
UK subs, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a hit with it.
Neil MacArthur.
Neil MacArthur, yeah, of course. I thought
Just try and get
Yes, but that was. Did you do that wonderful track, Say You Don't Mind, the debut name? Was that under your name or under?
That wasn't Neil.
That was you. Because I remember buying that.
Did you really?
Absolutely bought it. I lived in South Ken in a very humble flat, and I remember getting, it was a wonderful arrangement. It was Mike Hurst, wasn't it?
No, that's...
Did he produce that or not?
No, he didn't. Rob and Chris produced that.
That was
Chris Gunning did the arrangement.
Right.
That was on an album called 1 Year, which we wanted to make it as a very avant-garde album, and that's the one we started with the track Misty Roses, which Colin found the song Misty Roses, which was very beautiful.
Tim Holland's song.
And then I mean, it wasn't as avant-garde all the way through, because we then but Chris found this wonderful string arranger called Chris Gunning, who did these wonderful arrangements, and we had how many tracks?
It was 8 tracks. 8 tracks.
8 tracks,
Yeah.
with and then there was some ordinary rhythm section tracks.
We didn't like it. We had another arranger first of all.
Yeah.
And then we didn't like it, and then asked Chris Gunning to do some strings.
You found Chris Gunning.
Yeah.
You found Chris Gunning,
Yeah.
because we wanted to do that Bartok thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic, yeah.
Well, it would be quite nice maybe if we just had a couple of questions from the fans of the
I think so, yeah.
Because there's probably people saying, why doesn't that idiot ask this question? Well, the answer is I'm not quite sure what ones you like here, but if there are a couple of people who want to just ask any of these zombies, there's a hand up there, madam, on by the aisle.
I can't believe I didn't know till tonight that you recorded Odyssey and Oracle at Abbey Road. Was it in Studio 2, do you remember?
No, it was in Studio 3.
Mainly, yes.
Studio 3, yeah.
Yes. We did actually start a couple of the tracks in another studio.
Did we?
Yes.
I don't remember.
It was where you recorded with Argent off the King's Road.
But yes, but that was still Studio 3. Because,
We finished them at Abbey Road, but we started.
Oh.
But anyway, it was Studio 3, and the Beatles famously used Studio 2.
Yeah.
Mostly, but it happened when we went in there. They only just finished recording Sgt. Pepper, and so a lot of their instruments, percussion instruments, were still around. So we were picking up maracas and tambourines that the Beatles had left there, which is very exciting for us because we're huge Beatles fans. But mostly they were in Studio 2 and we were in Studio 3.
Anyone else got a quick question?
Colin, are you going to be doing any more of your 1 year shows?
I'm not sure, actually. I did 4 shows at the end of last year where I played, the same way that the zombies played Odyssey and Oracle, I played my first solo album 1 year in its entirety with all the strings and everything. And the show in London was at the Union Chapel, which, did you come there? To the Union Chapel? I thought it was a really lovely evening because it's such an atmospheric venue. It's a wonderful venue. And yes, we played 4 times, Odyssey, 1 year. I'm not sure if we'll do it again. It's a bit of a military operation, getting a band together and the strings, in the same way when I first toured with ELO, it's a lot to take on. But who knows, you never say never. I hope you enjoyed it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's have Ennismore next.
Okay.
Next.
We'll work on that, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I have a flyer here that you signed in Liverpool at an ice rink in the summer of '64. And you interrupted, well, they play music at ice rinks, and you sang your song live, She's Not There.
Right.
And then, how did you get there and where did you go to next?
Where was the next gig, Colin?
Well, off the top of my head, I haven't got the slightest bloody idea.
I remember that ice rink, I remember.
I don't remember.
Why you were having to promote the song was it for the production company, or was it, why did you go to Liverpool to sing one song in an ice rink?
That sounds fairly typical of our career at the time. I'm surprised it was only Liverpool.
We had to pay the entrance as well.
I think we might have got free skating or something.
Well, he might have been in Birmingham the night before, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm so sorry, I don't remember that particular evening.
any more, couple more. There's a chat right at the back.
You mentioned having to rush through stereo version of Odyssey and Oracle. Do you have a preference on the mono versus the stereo version? Is there a difference?
There is quite a difference actually, because first of all we did the mono mix, Chris and I, and that was our first venture into recording.
Yeah.
But then CBS said, well, stereo is just coming in, so we want you to do a stereo mix. And we said, well, okay.
It's only on 4 tracks, so.
And they booked two days, did they? Did they go 2 days to do it?
A little bit longer, I think,
Was
because
it?
it was trying to find a place where it had all speakers around, you know.
Yeah, because did they have new speakers just come in? And
I can't remember.
No, that was yeah.
quadrophonic.
Yeah, that was later. But it was a really new thing for us. And then they said, but you've used up all your budget, so you'll have to pay for it yourself. So we had to pay £200 to do, they only gave us £1,000 to do the album in the first place, which even at the time wasn't a lot of money. But then they, then for £200 we recorded the stereo mix.
No, I'm sorry, I had to correct you there. You and I had to pay for it, another £1,000 between us.
Yeah.
Do I owe you any money?
£5.
You should say that here.
Well, I think that's probably.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, do. Oh, I was going to say, it's a special day.
Somebody's having a birthday today.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Colin. Happy birthday to you. Colin Blunstone, happy birthday.
Candles because of the fire regulations. It's so hot that they don't need it. So, 10 days ago was somebody else's birthday. Do you think we could do this again for Rod? Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rod. Happy birthday to you.
Perfect.
Anybody else? I was 18 in March, but
Well, it's a great honour for me to be on the same, what is this, a sort of shelf, was there? Same podium, the same plinth as this great band. I'm always, A, you were brilliant, and B, having the local link, I was so thrilled when you became very successful. And I remember watching George Harrison on What's Jury that very day.
Do you remember that? Wow.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember seeing it. And watching it at home on black and white telly. And think, God, George likes it. And I think he would have been here even if he hadn't liked it, but it certainly gave it a big boost. And it was ahead of its time. I did think, even though I was the same age as you, I thought it might be too sophisticated. Seriously, it's sort of strange lyric and a very sophisticated tune, and it's good. I always think, let me tell you about the way she wrote and all that. This interesting story there, something a bit more than you can get 3 or 4 stories out of that one great lyric, which plus it was a great song. Anyway, I'm a genuine fan. Nothing to do with the fact we were at school together.
Thank you very much, Jim.
It's
Is that it for the time being?
Thank you so
Right.
much.
What we do is we
Hallelujah.